All right. Well, welcome to this episode of Working Abroad. We have an amazing alum, Montana Miller, with us today to talk to you about kind of her navigation and her journey on how she is about to start in 8 days working officially abroad. And so we brought her here today to ask her a few questions and kind of get her insight on how she got to where she is today. So Riley, want to hit us off here for the first question?
Yeah, so Montana, if you could just get us started and tell us a bit about your background, kind of where your journey has gone since you graduated from UCM.
Yeah. So during my undergrad, I pretty much just studied Scandinavian studies. So a lot of times I was doing research of the Danish political system, sometimes the Swedish. So I've always had like this infatuation with going abroad, especially in Northern Europe. And I honestly didn't want to be a teacher. I refused to be a teacher. I wanted to go to law school. I wanted to be either a civil rights lawyer or an immigration lawyer. But it was the semester of 2021 spring. This like my whole world changed. It was my first day subbing, and I got asked to take over as a fax teacher. Please note that, like I said, I am a political science major. So for me to take over as a home ec teacher was like culture shock. Because, I only had 24 hours to kind of grow up. And then those 24 hours, I made lesson plans the next day for my students. And then over the next 6 months, I became this teacher. And I was still debating at the end, like, do I want to be a teacher? Do I still want to go to law school? And after Teacher Appreciation Week is when I was like, I think I'm on the right path. Mm-hmm. So I ended up getting my master's or attempting to get my master's in education. And then all of a sudden I got hired in Sweden as a home ec teacher. So, but
now here you are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you kind of touched a little bit on this, but what was really the inspiration behind wanting to work abroad? Like, when did it hit you? When was it like, I figured I want to teach, but I think I want to actually do this abroad versus in the United States?
November, I was over in Denmark doing some research on the Danish school system. And it kind of hit me that this is where I want to be. This is where I want to teach. The same teaching style as me. But like it all pretty much stimulated since I was in 4th grade. I never like pictured myself growing up here after college. I've always wanted to start my adult life abroad, especially in Northern Europe. And I've been working at it for almost 3 years now. And I've been rejected a few times, but it's finally happening.
You made it happen, girl. It's awesome.
Yeah, so you talked about kind of that previous rejection, but you haven't given up. So what are some of the challenges that you faced working through that process of being able to work abroad?
I think one of the biggest challenges is you have to be consistent and not give up on yourself, and don't give up on this dream just because you got rejected 4 times. Like a dream doesn't chase itself. Like you have to go after it. And if you're going to get rejected like 6 times, that's part of the process. And like I applied for a Fulbright and I didn't get into Austria. I applied to like 6 schools in Denmark. I didn't get in. And I'm pretty sure I've been applying to the school in Sweden for 2 years now, consistently. Every time I see it on LinkedIn, I'm applying, whether it's an English position, it's a substitute position. I'm constantly putting my name in the system. And I also think another challenge was COVID. I mean, when I started applying, it was 2020, December 2020. So a lot of the times they wanted someone that had an EU citizenship, and I didn't have that. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sure the pandemic brought a lot of challenges for a lot of people wanting to work abroad or even like in other countries come into the United States, like kind of that same issue. So, so if Riley or anybody in our office was working with a student who was like, I really am thinking about working abroad, what would be like top 3 things you would give them and like for advice on how to get started, how to like make the process work, all of that?
First advice I would give is get involved in your community, especially with the international population. I volunteer and teach with local refugee kids who don't speak any English for the past 2 years, and I stayed consistent with it. The second advice I would give is you need to find the area that you want to like be in. So if it's whether it's, business, teaching, whatever, you need to get experience in it. The more experience you have, the better it looks better on your resume. I've been substitute teaching for 3 years now, and now I'm working as a para for summer school, and I'm constantly staying consistent with what I want to do. And the third advice is I would start learning the language now. That is one thing it's difficult because I'm getting paperwork and it's in Swedish, and I'm starting the lesson plan and everything I got handed to me is in Swedish. And if you want to have that one country that you want to go to, start learning the language now.
Wow. So like, how did you, like, what have you been doing to help teach yourself that language? Sorry, side question.
My Netflix is actually in Swedish and my phone's in Swedish. And so once I'm familiar with seeing something every single day, I'm getting used to it. Yeah.
That is a good tip. That would have not been what I thought you would answer with. Like, that's awesome. Interesting.
So while you're at UCM, or even since you've graduated, I think you touched on this a little bit in the last answer, but what are some things that you could recommend or that you yourself kind of got involved with here in the States to help kind of prepare you? Like maybe if you don't even know where you want to work abroad, what are some things people could do to narrow that down for themselves?
There's definitely clubs that UCM has, like the English speaking partner, I think that's what it's called. They pair you up with someone from a different country and you kind of have a conversation with them and kind of get to know them from their country and your country. And Model United Nations too was really good. It's a club and it's government, but you're still kind of learning about another country, while when you go to these conferences you're learning about another country too and seeing how all stimulates behind the scenes of any government policies. And then I also think getting in like connection with the study abroad office and seeing who from a region that you're interested in. Like I was always hanging out with the Swedish study abroad students that came to UCM, and I'm still friends with them today. For example, one of them that study abroad, Estelle, her parents are actually allowing me to store my stuff in their garage when I'm constantly moving and shipping stuff. So it's very nice to have those connections.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I bet. Finally, like, what else just in general would you share to someone who is considering working abroad or knows they for sure want to work abroad or anything? Like, what would be those final thoughts that you would share with them?
It's going to be a tough process, but do not give up, because I've been trying for 3 years now and I never once gave up on myself or gave up on this dream. I just kept on going and going and going. And you're going to get rejected and you're not going to get, a job that you preferably want in the States, but you're going to have to get that job in the States in order to go over there. Like I got offered a position in Kansas City this year, and it was a political science and special education, my genre, but I knew that in my heart that if I stayed here, my dream is going to keep on getting pushed back and pushed back. And take the position here that's going to give you more experience. That way it looks 100 times better on your resume. Stay consistent.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And I think a lot of the pieces that you gave us today on how to get yourself down the path of working abroad, and you even gave things about what you could do here at UCM as a current student to build up that resume. And it sounds like the more experience that you can get, the better. Immersing yourself into that culture, studying abroad there, talking with study abroad students here at UCM, learning the language, all those things can really help benefit you and push you more towards that goal of working abroad. And I think, Montana, you are someone who I know since I've known you, like you have changed and grown so much, and you have worked towards this goal for the past, 3-4 years. And it's exciting to finally see you achieved it. And I'm excited to follow your journey on Facebook. And I'm sure anybody that's watching this, our career readiness students or anybody from the YouTube channel, I'm sure Montana would be happy to link with you up on LinkedIn and answer any questions. You can kind of hear her story more in personal depth if you want. Or Riley and I can connect you with her with the contact information. So we appreciate you helping us out today and giving us this great advice. And this was really interesting to learn. I know I learned some stuff. I don't know if you did, Riley, but I definitely did. And Riley loves like the abroad stuff. She thinks it's really interesting. She keeps trying to push us to do some cool career services stuff abroad. And I'm like, let's go. It was so fun.
It's LinkedIn. LinkedIn's
Yep.
the key to everything. That's how I found this job.
Yes, it really is. It's such a great tool. All right. Well, thank you again. And okay, now we'll take a picture and Chelsea can do all that. So, all right, hold on. I'm going to stop recording.